Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Lagerquist. I'm here at Mind, Faith, and Action. Today, we are going to learn a little bit about a homegrown book festival that this year has gone virtual because, like everything else, we can't meet in person, but that's not going to deter people from still gathering and sharing the fun information that they've got. So, we are here. I will let Rachel introduce her co host, but Rachel Hannell from the Deep Valley Book Festival. She has been a long time participant and organizer of it. So I will step aside and let Rachel introduce her co-host.
All right. Thanks so much, Mike, and thanks to all of you for joining us today. Normally, we would have Julie Schrader here, who I would just say would be the festival coordinator extraordinaire. This has really been her brainchild, but she did have to have some kind of emergency dental work done today, so she was unable to join us. But thankfully, Kirsten Hall from the planning committee is here also to talk about the book festival. We're happy to answer questions after we go through some of the information that we have to present about the book festival. So, happy to answer questions, happy to have a conversation about the book festival. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give a little background about the festival and talk a little bit about why we do it and kind of the purpose of it. We'll also talk specifically about the festival that's coming up. I think it's just in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks now. It's the weekend of March 6th and 7th. So we'll talk about that specifically, like how that will work and how you can attend the panels and the presentations and that kind of thing. So I think I'll have Kirsten talk a little bit more about the logistics of how you would go about finding the events and how you could go about registering for them. So that's kind of just what I was planning to touch on today. So yeah, I'll just start with a little background information. So as you know, and I see some of you here today, and I know some of the names and some of the faces, and I know Linda especially has always been a good steward of the literary community in Mankato. So as you know, Mankato does have just a really great literary tradition, and it has a really strong literary community. It's named the Deep Valley Book Festival after Maud Hart Lovelace, one of Mankato's most famous writers. And so it's really named that to recognize that history that we have here in our community. There's a lot of writers that call Mankato home, and lots of writers who have called Mankato home over the years. And I just think that we have such a strong reading community. I mean, we have such a supportive community here for literature, for writing. So that really was the mission behind having the Deep Valley Book Festival. We know that there's a lot of writers here. We know that there's a lot of readers here. So really the mission of the festival is to connect readers and writers, and really to showcase the literature that is in this community and beyond, really talking about all of southern Minnesota, south central Minnesota, northern Iowa, like anything within a radius of Mankato. The Twin Cities area gets a lot of attention, and there's a very strong writing community up there in Minneapolis and St. Paul as well, and a lot of writing festivals and book festivals, but not everybody wants to go there. Not everybody wants to drive there. So that was another reason to have something like this, is to really say that in rural Minnesota, some pretty great things are going on too, just to make it easier for people to connect with writers and connect with other readers right here within our community or nearby. We have a fiscal sponsor, so we're not technically a nonprofit. We haven't gone through the paperwork steps for the nonprofit, but thankfully the Blue Earth County Historical Society has been our fiscal sponsor. So we operate like a nonprofit. So any income that comes into us just gets turned right back around to fund the festival. Every year. We're thankful that we do get grants. We've had very strong support from the Prairie Lakes Regional Arts Council as an organization. They funded us, and we recently received a Minnesota State Arts Board grant as well. So we're really thankful for that kind of support we get from the artistic community in this region and larger Minnesota as well. A little history of the festival, and this is where Julie really comes in because she was the one who started it. So if you know Julie Schrader, she has Minnesota Heritage Publishing. She's written books, she's published a lot of books, especially to do with this area and the history of this area. And she also had been the executive director of the Betsy Tacy Society. So she really wanted to start a book festival many, many years ago. She just thought that it would be a logical way to raise awareness that this is Maud Hart Lovelace's hometown. And that's why she decided to name it what she named it. So the first festival was held 17 years ago already. It was back in 2004, was held at the Civic Center, and we were able to do that until 2007. And then we lost funding for that particular venue, but Julie was able to resurrect it again back in 2015. And that connection was with the Betsy Tacy Society Deep Valley Homecoming event. That event wrapped up, I think, in 2017. But Julie decided to keep the festival going as its own separate event. So we will be having a festival this October. We've generally always held it the first weekend in October. So this October, it'll be the 6th annual one that we've had in a row, even though there's been kind of different iterations of it over the past several years. But clearly, last year with everything, we had to pivot to being a virtual festival. We made that decision. It was pretty early on, I think sometime early in the summer of 2020, just realizing that probably things weren't going to start looking better by fall already. So why not go online, and knowing that we were going to need some time to plan it well in order to go online. But we really were pleased with how it turned out. We held it over 2 days. Normally it's just 1 day. Held it over 2 days. We had lots of author participation. We had lots of participants, of people coming to the panels and the workshops. And the nice thing about being virtual is that people could join from anywhere. So we were really able to expand our audience. We saw a lot of familiar names, but also I think there was someone from Rhode Island and somebody from the West Coast. And it was just really nice to see that the word got around and more people could join our festival. So we thought that went so well that just a few weeks after that event, we said, well, why not have a cabin fever festival in March, which is something that we've never done before. We've only had the festival once a year. But knowing that we were still going to most likely be in some kind of situation where people are still at home and it's winter and people might be going a little stir crazy, we just thought it would be a nice event to have in early March, just to give people something to do. And again, to have those connections, to be able to foster those connections where people can network with authors, people can network with other writers. People are reading a lot. I think the pandemic is showing us that if you're going to be at home, why not read books? So for people who are looking to connect with authors and other readers, people who are looking to add to their book list, maybe find new authors and new books to read, that really was the idea behind this Cabin Fever Festival on March 6th and 7th. So like I said, that's coming up pretty quickly. I think I might segue into kind of what the festival is going to look like coming up here. So Kirsten, I don't know if you want to jump in. I can share my screen, but if you kind of want to let people know like where they can find stuff, how do you find out what's going on that weekend, where do you go, that type of thing, I can share my screen.
Sure. All right. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right, if you want to scroll up to the top there.
Actually, I'm on the homepage. There we go.
Oh, okay. All right. Hello. First of all, I'm Kirsten Hall. I am the publisher of Fox Point Publishing, and I have been involved with the Deep Valley Book Festival since I think 2017 was my first year. I did 17, 18, and 19 as an author, was very impressed, well attended. Great crowd, great authors, really appreciated the planning committee. And then I kind of fell into being on the planning committee when it went virtual. So yeah, so there you go. My history. Anyway, how you want to find it is deepvalleybookfestival.com. all one really long big word, deepvalleybookfestival.com. We just had our website upgraded, updated. It looks fabulous. So I'm really pleased about that. And then if you go to, I think it's more, is more where the, the registration is. Well, let's see here, where, or would it be under shop?
Like for the
To register, or oh, what do you call it? The schedule.
the
Where's the
schedule. Yeah, I'll go there because that's where people can register.
Yep, yep. Okay. So yeah, if you get to the schedule and then you scroll down there, you're going to see all the different, the hyperlinks are for all the registers. And now everything is free about this. The problem being though that we have a limited space of up to 500 people per panel or discussion or webinar or whatever. And most of these are live presentations. So you can get into the chat box and ask questions and stuff. But being that there are only 500 people available or 500 spots available, you really should start registering now and not that Saturday morning, because you may not be able to get on. For the fact that we've done virtual and we're advertising literally globally, I know that we have people coming in from all over the place, definitely all over the United States. And we actually have authors and stuff from all over the US, and they're advertising as well. So to all of their networking and such. So 500 may sound like a big number, but when you take into account the entire United States and possibly expanding globally, 500 is not a big number. So I would, if you're any of these look interesting, I would register. You know, today would be a good time. Anyway, but yeah, Rachel and Danelle actually do the welcomes and the closings each day, and all of these webinars will actually be recorded as well. So if you ever need to go back, or you happen to not be available on Saturday afternoon or whatever, you can do that. And we do have a YouTube channel as well under Deep Valley Book Festival, the YouTube channel, and I'm sure somewhere on here is linked. But all these different links, just get on there and put your name in there and such and your email, and then you're going to get a linked invite to when you can be on there. And I will also point out too that, so like at 9 a.m., the link for the registration, or excuse me, the link for the half an hour prior, the waiting room opens. So if you're going to, so you want to write a memoir, which is actually done by Rachel, you can jump on as early as 11 a.m. if you want, or if you happen to be at the 10 a.m. book club's Twitter, Instagram, that'll actually be over at approximately 10:55 a.m. And then that next waiting room will be open. So we've made it where, you know, you've got about half an hour in between. If you have to do a bathroom break, warm up your coffee, go get some lunch, whatever the case may be, you're not missing anything. And then I think it goes to like, what, 5 or 6 o'clock each night, I think it is.
Yeah, I think Saturday is until, 5:36. Sunday, I think, is a little earlier, ends a little earlier.
Yeah, and then on we have our interview with our keynote author is Margi Preus, or is it Price? Is the
Preus.
Preus, okay. Anyway, she's got 2 different things, one on each day. One is a pre-recorded, one is a conversation, which there is on Saturday. And then on Sunday, it starts off with Rachel introducing what we're going to do. And then it's going to cut across to about 17-minute pre-recorded video that Margi did with a local school district, and then back to a Q&A on one of her books. And the Try Your Hand at Illustrating, for example, that is actually done by 2 of the illustrators that I work with. And they'll be talking about the different aspects that go into not only illustrated children's books, but also YA and pretty much everything in between. Yeah, so that's they're fun, they're entertaining. We have a lot of talent, a lot of people who are interested in sharing their craft and answering questions. And I would, you know, and it's free. I mean, that's a positive. And you were mentioning, Rachel was earlier mentioning that a lot of people don't want to drive to the Twin Cities or whatever. All I could think of for all the times I've been up there for different events, parking. I mean, obviously we're not going to go anywhere in March, but you know, it's so nice to, you know, be able to watch from your kitchen table or what have you. And then in October, fingers crossed that we're all together again. Parking is a lot easier in Mankato than downtown Minneapolis. I'll just point that out. Yeah. Anyway, but that's pretty much it's really easy. All you have to do is click on one of those links, put in your information, put it down in your calendar, and open it up when it starts, and there you go. It's easy.
Yep. I will also point out the author directories. So you saw there on the schedule that all the authors' names are listed who are doing the different panels and workshops. And so you can go to the top of the page and go to the author directory. If you wanted to know more about who these authors are, there's our keynotes. So Margi's doing the keynote here in March, and Will Weaver, another Minnesota author, is doing our keynote in October. But then we have all of the authors listed. You can click on any one of them and you're taken to another page that will list a bio and their books and like a link if you're interested in getting their books, you know. So, I mean, if anything looks interesting to you, any books, you know, definitely it's a great way to support authors. And, you know, if you're not into buying books, then just call the library, call the Blue Earth County Library and say, hey, you know, can you order this person's book? It looks really great. So that's where the author directory is where you would check in to see who all the different authors are. And you can see we have quite a few. So it's a nice lineup.
Rachel, if you want to just pick any one of those authors, probably, you know.
Joy.
Okay, yep. All right, so if you click on Joy, you've got her hover over the book. I wonder if that's where.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you can find out more information there, and then you find out about Joy. And then if you scroll down, you can hover over her email, and that'll pop up, you know, a mailer thing there. Then you've got all the different social links that she's on as well. Mm-hmm. And when you go to the book thing, and yeah, you got her video stuff too. But when you go to the book, or if you go to the website icon, you can find out how to order her books as well. And I will also mention too, yeah, so all the book purchases 100% go to the author. So that's really nice too. And I will point out, of all the different book shows that I have done, virtual or in person, I have to say that these individual author pages with all this information, I mean, it really is a mini website. Deep Valley Book Festival has been the only one that I have seen that's put so much into it, and the shopping carts and everything that. So yeah, for the people that you know, exhibit with us, they get quite a bit, and I think they're very pleased, and I think that we'll continue bringing in quality people and a lot of people because of what we offer them as well.
For sure. I also will just point out that when you go to these events, when you're there and you're registered and you show up, that there are drawings during each event. So we have a lot of authors who submitted their books for drawings. And so it's just a nice incentive to know that your name will be thrown into a virtual hat for a drawing at all of the events. And I also will go to, must be under more, or maybe it's way at the bottom here. We also, I'm on the author directory. Sorry, hope I'm not giving people migraines or something from scrolling so fast. But if you go to our main page and you go all the way to the bottom, because we are, you know, a nonprofit, basically, we're always looking for sponsorships and from people or from organizations. So we do allow for individual sponsorships. For $25, you can become a festival friend. And if you do that, your name gets drawn into a kind of end of the festival raffle where you have an entire bag of books, an entire Festival Friends bag of books. I think right now the value is over $200. So that's another incentive, if you wanted to help support us, we list your name on the website and all of our print programming, anything like that. And plus you get a chance to win a whole bunch of books. So if that's anything that you're interested in, I'll just point that out as well.
Yeah, I will say that the lady that won last October, I mean, she had like, what, 43 books in that bag? I mean, she was set for the winter. She's probably still reading.
Yeah, probably.
So,
Yeah.
she was blown away with all the books she was going to be getting.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it. I'll just say that October 2nd, we are planning for that 6th annual edition. Again, like Kirsten said, fingers crossed that we can be together again in a live environment, and whatever safety precautions we'd still have to take, we certainly would do that, but it would be really nice to be able to be together again. But just know, like in some form or fashion, we'll have a festival on October 2nd. We're just hoping that it could be a live one. And if you know of any young people, we do have a young writers and artist contest that we just love to get submissions from writers, from little artists. So you can find that entry form on the website as well. So definitely spread the word for that. It's between ages 7 and 17 that they can enter, and we give cash prizes for winners in different age groups. So that's always a really fun event too for the book festival.
All right. Well, Rachel, I know you guys have done a good job publicizing on Facebook. I don't know if I like the festival or it's just being friends with you and Julie and other people, but I've seen it a lot, and I registered yesterday for your memoirs
Good.
presentation at 11:30, so I'm looking forward to that. Can you tell, because I know there are a couple of people here who are involved in the Vine Memoirs Group, can you tell us a little bit more about it so we can share that with the group in total?
Yes, I would love to share some information about that, because I know people love to think about writing a memoir, writing their life stories or writing family stories. I mean, I know that's so popular. So yeah, this is just going to be a pretty quick workshop. I think we have a total of 3 workshops going on during the festival. So there's just an hour, but it's really kind of the tips and tricks, if you want to write your story or you want to write family stories, like where do you start? What's the best way to approach it? And certainly I'd give some information about further resources, good books that I like, that I think really address the craft of memoir, other places you can go to, take classes or find information online, like to be able to kind of curate a list of resources. So when you leave the workshop, there'd be some additional information you have and things to keep working on, beyond that hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever do anything on publishing? Whether it be Kirsten talking about, getting representation or that sort of thing?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a publishing panel.
Yeah, the publishing panel, I think, is at like 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And I'll be moderating that. I've got everyone from traditional publishing to self-publishing and everything in between. And I'm sure all of us will have plenty of things to say. We are a talkative group that have more information than one can imagine.
Okay.
So we will be sharing that. And then, of course, I would strongly suggest not only that panel, but all of the other live panels, make use of your chat box, put questions in there. And our IT guy that I refer to as the Wizard of Oz, because he's in the background, but he makes us all work, because if he wasn't here, we'd all be just kind of sitting there going, well, this is fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, he will be getting the questions to either Danelle or Rachel or whoever the moderator is. So the moderator isn't flipping between screens and then dumping the call altogether or whatever. So yeah, it works out really well. I don't know how best to explain it, but for the viewer, there's no drops. The calls are good. People, the craziness behind the scene, no one ever sees. So this is good. But yeah, the publishers, we have plenty to say.
All right.
Yeah.
Linda, did you have any questions, or Mary? You have to unmute yourself.
I'm just typing a chat to Kirsten. I guess I could just say this. Our memoir group met this morning and just got off like a half hour ago. So
Oh, wow. That was a long
Kind of
meeting.
zoomed out. Our Zoom meetings go, they're supposed to be 2 hours, now they're turning into 3. Anyway, our memoir group at Vine is in the process of putting together many of our memoirs and self-publishing it as a book. And Kirsten, I think you have been in contact with Laura Beasley about that.
I'm not supposed to say anything because I told Laura that when she got onto her Zoom call this morning, that she would look incredibly intelligent on the entire matter, but more than likely everything she read to you is what I typed to her last night. So yeah, I already did talk with Laura and found out all the different things you guys are looking for and such. And so you don't tell her that I told you guys this. Oh no, this is being recorded. Now she's gonna watch. She's never gonna talk to me again. I'm so sorry, Laura. No, but yeah, she got a hold of me and we went over some different things of what you guys were looking to do and such. And for the best bet for you guys, as I gave her a number of different people, I volunteered our graphic designer who's gonna help you format the book and get it all pretty and print ready. And then I put her in contact with my printer that does all of my domestic stuff, who does an excellent job. And she's out of Wilmer. So it's very much a Minnesota book as well. My designer is just west of the Twin Cities and she does an awesome job. And so you're in good hands with both Becca and the other Laura, who is the printer. And oh, now Laura Beasley. Huh?
This is a very challenging project because we have about 20 people submitting 1 to 5 different short memoirs from 1 page to 8 pages. And it's all coming to me, but it's coming as, some handwritten, some hard copy print, some screenshots.
I don't envy you, that's for sure. I did, and I'm sure she shared this with you, I worked backwards on what a timeline would be, that from who needs what at what time and the reason why, between calendars and how busy printers are at certain times of the year and stuff. So as long as you follow that timeline that I gave, you guys should be good and have books in your hands by October 1st.
Well, you know, here, so there's another thing here. Because I do my part, then it gets shifted off to a team to review and select. And then it goes off to another team for editing. Then it goes off to another team for proofing. And then we have an illustrating layout team. So we're fumbling. We've never done this. It's going to be quite a project to coordinate 20 some people to do this.
Well, I told Laura that if she has any other questions, she sure can get a hold of me. That's no problem. With Becca, though, for your designing and formatting and book covers and all that, Becca, you're in good hands with her. Becca does the majority of our design work and our book covers, and we're very pleased and we're very lucky. So, and I saw an email that Becca's looking forward to working with you.
Okay, so does that mean we don't need to have a layout committee?
Probably not. And that's totally up to you, or have one point person that can get back to Becca and go back and forth. And what I was telling Laura last night is give part of the manuscript to Becca so she can get a feeling and be able to put together some ideas for book covers and then your formats and flourishes and page numbers and all that other good fun stuff.
Well, it's all over the place. Everybody's memoir is really different. We might see some emerging themes, but there won't be very many pieces on a particular theme, I don't think. Because I've got 63 manuscripts right now and more are coming in by next Sunday. So
fun. You know, you may want to get some other people on your little committee to at least enter them in, you know, type them in, especially if you're getting hard copies. You're going to
Yeah.
want help with that.
Well, who knew what it was going to be when we started out? I just said we needed a point of contact, send it to me. What a fool I am.
Yeah, I would start having, you know, maybe if Mary and Sandra and Rebecca all want to help you out, that would be good.
Well, they're not in the memoir group, but we welcome people. So.
If they can type on a keyboard, please help Linda. Yeah.
They've just volunteered.
So I don't want to dominate with our book because I'm sure other people have questions.
I don't have any questions, but this is very interesting. I've heard about the Deep Valley Festival for a number of years being in Mankato, and I guess I thought it was for authors only.
Mm.
And now that I'm retired, I'm looking into more things, doing different reading, writing, art, and trying different things. So when I saw this come up, I thought this was an opportunity to learn. So thank you very much to kind of lay out at least how it is this year for the virtual process.
Yep. Yeah, I think for, you know, for both people who are thinking about writing, you know, maybe they are writing and they want to learn more about it. But boy, we've just had so many people come to the festival who they're readers. Like they just want to learn about books and especially Minnesota authors or more local authors and what's kind of the newest book that's out there. You know, you just have readers who are so interested in getting the next new thing. So yeah, just like anyone who has any interest in words or books, you know, that's exactly who we're gearing toward.
Plus you get to meet the authors and talk to them over just their table, find out why did they get into writing. Like one of our authors, Helen Holder, she's retired. Her joke is that she was in the first grade for 34 years. 33 of those years were as a teacher. And she authors beautiful books, very educational, very colorful, etc. But she's got wonderful stories about all the first graders she's ever, you know. So if you enjoy getting to know the author as a person and finding out what makes them tick and where do they get their ideas and stuff, and then you might just surprise yourself and creativity will well up in you. And oh my gosh, now you're writing books. It's just crazy. It's a vicious cycle how it works.
Oh, and Sandra was at our author series presentation yesterday, and she wrote to me, as she so often does, thanking me for arranging it. But she mentioned how interesting it is to hear from these authors, their process, and just how you can pick and choose some of those things that might work in your own writing. And for so many of us, and I'm sure it's the same for others, it's finding the time. We have, especially in the memoir, we have the material, but it's just a matter of finding the time to do it. And the more clues you can get to the process, the better chance you have of succeeding.
That's exactly it. It's about finding the time and also just really committing to keep doing it, you know, because some days are going to be more frustrating than others. And I always tell people that there's no difference between me, you know, I had my memoir came out, I mean, it's been 8 years now, but there's no difference between me who has a memoir published and somebody who doesn't have a memoir published. I mean, there's one difference, and it's not talent. It's not anything like that. It's perseverance. Like I just said to myself, this thing's going to get published. And I have to just keep working until it's going to get published. That's the only thing. Just so many people give up too early, you know, but there's no reason why everyone can't get published if that's what they want to do. Right. That's how you do it. You just work.
I will point out, Rachel, I've never told you this before, but I love the title of your memoir. I just love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I do get a lot of comments on that, but then I'm like, well, I can't take credit because, you know, my dad said it, like, that's what he would say to people. Yeah. But then he stole it, you know, from the old Fibber, McGee and Molly or Life of Riley TV show and radio show. He stole it from there. So it's all about appropriation, I guess.
And does everybody know that title?
I don't know. I guess We'll Be the Last Ones to Let You Down is my memoir, with my dad being a gravedigger. So yeah.
I've read it, and Rachel, I think that's where I've heard you talk about it too
Yeah.
sometime, maybe at MSU or someplace.
It was
but I-
probably, yep, it's MSU. I know Linda had me at the Unitarian Church,
Yeah.
I think right after it came out. So yeah, I made the rounds there for a while after it first came out.
I love the title. So
Thank you.
Well, I look at it this way. I've got an uncle who worked for many years in basically in security at Rocky Flats Nuclear Facility in Colorado. And he wrote a memoir about growing up in Mankato in the 30s and 40s. And, you know, is it as polished as I would like it to be as a former editor? Probably not. But the number of people I've heard reference it on the Mankato Memories Facebook page and just in other places tells me it's not always the way that it's presented, but it's the information that's included. It's the love and the just the enthusiasm that's behind the subject too.
and the peek into someone else's life and experiences. The very first book I wrote in 2005 was a memoir. I used to be in the professional wedding videography in the business. I have personally been to 1,403 weddings in my life. Let's just say I've seen things.
A lot of cake.
And they're in that book. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of little stories in there. And it's just a humorous, and you know, so often the whole judging a book by the cover, you know, I have a lot of people who are like, well, I'm already married, I don't need to read that. It's like, it doesn't matter what your marital status is. If you like funny, you'll like the book. And I do get, for the people who hold still long enough, yeah, they read the book and it's pretty funny. But yeah, it's just that little glimpse into, I'm going to guess most other people haven't been to 1,403 weddings. And so, you know, it's just an opportunity to see different things. And I think people really appreciate that.
And for him, he sprinkles it with location names and family names so people can relate to, oh, I wonder if that boar is related to this one.
Exactly.
Well, Kirsten, did you write a book about all those weddings? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that there are, well, if I did all 1,403, the book would be about yay big. But I took some of the best of, there's probably a couple hundred different little stories, references to different ideas. So, you know, for like people who are planning weddings, they use that as the strategic guerrilla wedding planner of learning from other people's mistakes, of people that are already married. They're usually very happy that their wedding was so average compared to some of the things that I've seen: reception halls on fire, people fainting, ambulances. I've seen it all. And
What's
it's in that book.
What's the title of that book, Kirsten, and where can I find it?
Oh, it's called I Do 15 Years of Wedding Misadventures. My company name was I Do Wedding, excuse me, I Do Productions Wedding Videography. So the I Do. If you go on to foxpointpublishing.com, and that's FOXPOINTE publishing.com, you'll see it. Click on it. You can even order it straight off the website, but you can find it on Amazon and everywhere else too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a fun little book. Great
I have
for
a cousin,
Valentine's
I
Day.
have a cousin in Indiana
What?
who wants to write a book. She'd been a wedding photographer, so it sounds kind of like what you have done. But
Yep.
she wanted to do that, so it'd be fun to send her that book.
She will be laughing. She'll be like, "Oh yeah, seen it. Yep." And I have had caterers and photographers in other wedding industries. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is a typical Saturday night." So,
All right. Do you want to promote anybody else who's speaking? You mentioned Preus. Was
Margi. Yeah, Margi Preus. Yeah, so she's our keynote. And like Kirsten said, she'll be doing like a pre-recorded talk on Saturday, and then on Sunday she'll be doing there's a little pre-recorded event that she's done with the 4th grade class, but then there will be a live portion. So the book that they're talking about is The Littlest Voyager, It is a middle grade book. So we are having a cabin fever read. So anybody can read this book and then join in to that discussion and talk to her a little bit about that book. She's based up in Duluth. So the Littlest Voyager is about, you know, a little child, you know, who was with the French voyagers up in northern Minnesota. So it's a historical novel for kids, which is generally what she writes. There's another person who is part of the festival. Her name is Andromeda Romano Locks, kind of a long name, but her book kind of even, she signed up for the festival. And then all of a sudden 2 weeks ago, her book is in the New York Times. Like, it's getting a lot of attention. It's called Annie and the Wolves. So it's a story of Annie Oakley. It's a novel, but Annie Oakley is the main character, and it just really sounds like such a well-written novel. But yeah, they're kind of surprisingly, oh, here's some big names, you know, and like Margi's book was just named a finalist for a Minnesota Book Award. So yeah, there's a lot of talent out there on our list. And I think just for people looking to discover new books and new writers, or at least writers they haven't heard of before, it's a great opportunity for that.
I will say, if anyone wants to learn how to write mystery, we've got Chris Norbury out of Owatonna. He'll be doing a live panel. Let's see, we've got Catherine Sullivan and Helen Holder will be doing the how to write children's books all the way to YA. And then, of course, the illustrators are Kim Hanzo and Kayla Olson Surface. And so be working on that. Boy, who else do we have? There's a lot, Susan Stradiato out of Eden Prairie. She's doing a panel on networking and getting your book out there, especially through social media. I've got to think of all when I put together all the panels and the links and stuff from about a month ago. What can I remember? Yeah.
Yeah, there's
just one blank.
Yeah, no, just go to the schedule on the website and you'll see, you know, kind of how, and it's a nice mix, you know, it's more of those panel discussions, and then those workshops are mixed in, and then Margi's 2 keynote talks are part of that. There's also a pre-recorded new books showcase. So if you're looking specifically for new books, people who just have books out now, will be highlighting new books by the authors as well.
When you go to the registration, although on the registration link, it'll say a little bit about the moderator, more than likely that moderator is also an author in the show. So if you look on the author directory, you can find out more about them as well.
Right.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like you guys have done a great job again, and I hope it's very successful for you. Maybe you'll stick with this format. Who knows?
Or something. Like, it is really tempting, and I know that we talked about that too after last year, because you know, if you have a live festival, well, not everyone can make it. So it does make you think about, you know, or do we do a live one and then also a mid-year virtual one, you know, like what can we do? Because we certainly would want as many people to participate as possible.
The October one, hopefully we can go back to being in person. And I know actually we have an Illinois author already planning on making the trip to the October show in Mankato. I'm thinking, you know, if we can keep, I mean, we will now have finished 2 virtual things. It would be a shame to throw all those skills away. So I really think March, keep up with the virtual thing, because I mean, we do go crazy in our house in just a regular year. And then October, all getting together, because it's nice to, it's a nice energy. And it's nice to see people. And then plus from the exhibitor point of view, for me, it's a lot of like a family reunion. I'm sure Rachel knows what I'm talking about. You see people, yeah. Versus, you know, just Facebook. So.
Yeah, and you know, from an author standpoint, you know, virtually, yes, you can connect with people and you can see them and you can chat with them and that type of thing. But that live event, you know, I mean, why do we write? You know, we write because we hope that somebody will connect with our words, you know? And so to be able to see that live and to talk to people who have read your book, or maybe they're interested in reading your book, I mean, that's the best part. I mean, that is like the best part of writing and of being a writer. So I think all of the authors who are involved with this festival just really cherish that connection that they have with readers.
Like I said, fingers crossed that we're back together in October. It'll be nice to see everyone again.
Now, you mentioned are you no longer at the Civic Center? Where have you been meeting for the live festival?
Oh, right. So thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, the live events, the last one that we had, 2019, was at the Loose Moose Conference Center right downtown. We had done the event center in the downtown Mankato Mall for a couple of years, but it's really dark in there. You know, if you've been in there, it's just like there's no like lighting. You're kind of like in a cave. So the Loose Moose was a lot easier to navigate and a lot more space for us to spread out. So that's where we'll be again in October.
Plus, it comes with food.
Yeah.
And I have found that people like to, you know, nosh on nummies and then walk around and look at books. And that just puts them in a nice, happy mood.
There you go.
Come look at the books.
All right. Well, that sounds great. We will be looking for information for the October Deep Valley Book Festival and hope that we will be in person once again, because like you say, those of us who sit and hibernate a lot during the winter want to get out and interact and get to know those authors, because it is a lot of fun to get to know them, and you're more likely to want to read their book if you enjoy their company.
For sure.
All right. Well, thank you all. Is there any other questions before we wrap this up? I don't want to cut anybody off. No, I see Rebecca.
I just want to mention. I just wanted to mention to Sandra that if she wants to join our memoir group, call me, give me an email, and I will get you involved, because we're meeting on Zoom every week.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
All right. Well, see, nothing else. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you, Rachel.
Yes,
and
thank
everybody
you.
else who joined us today. We look forward to it. I'm going to go right and check out the schedule so I can sign up for some more sections there. So
Good. Well, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to everybody for being here today. It was really nice to talk to everyone.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you virtually on March 6th and 7th.
all right, there we go. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.